What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Reffing with the Sappers. Today, we're going to have our first episode where I'm a solo host. So, we're getting to that time of year where Katie and Aaron are super busy with school. Katie's in speech and debate, that takes up a lot of her time. Aaron is playing soccer, so he's practicing a lot. He's also taking 3 AP courses. And so, between that and refereeing or playing all weekend, there's just not enough time to get it all together. So, we're going to have a few more of these as we go along where maybe I have to review one by myself or we'll figure that out, but want to keep getting content out. So, this was an interesting game held September 10th between Roseville Premier, who's going to be in black, and Truckee, who's going to be in white. This was U12 Boys. This September 10th date was actually a very interesting weekend for us. It's funny because we'll go out, we'll referee all weekend, and sometimes we'll go ref 6, 7 games, and there won't be one that we think, hey, that would make a good episode. Other times, like this September 10th, we'll go out and we'll ref 6, 7 games and come back thinking about 5 of them make good episodes. And this happened to be one of those days. So this is the first in what will probably be a series of different games on this same date that you'll see come out over the next few weeks. So let's get this game started. It was super exciting. As we get going here, I want to point out a couple of things. First, we're going to try out something new. I'm going to keep track of the score in the game in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to try to mark the time in the game when a call is happening, so you can kind of get a feel for how things go throughout the game. So let's get it going.
There you go, Tommy. Back up 5. You got a runner. Yep, there we go.
This game started off with a bang. Not more than 15 seconds after the game started, Truckee ended up coming down here and really scoring a banger of a goal. Let's watch it here. Truckee's on the attack, kind of kicks it out there. The defense picks it up, kicks it back, and then right there, he just boots it just over that keeper in a way he had no chance of getting it. So kudos to him. That was a great score. Following that first goal in the very first seconds of the game, not more than another minute later, Truckee's on the attack again. It's down in the far corner here, actually in the shadows. But as we play it, there the ball gets kicked in, defender clears it out, and then that attacker just gets it again and boots it over the top of that keeper. Keeper never had a chance, top in on the right. Fantastic goal, and here Truckee's up 2-0, and we're not more than 2 minutes into the game, so a fast start for them. Not much more than a minute later, we have a no call on the pitch that I actually think, with the benefit of the video here, I think I got wrong. And it's a major miscall because it would have been a penalty kick. So let's watch here. White is on the attack, coming up from the midfield. There's a long kick there up the front. Then this player hits it. It goes off the crossbar. And then right here, we have a shove down. And so if we play it again here, you can see this black player comes in and with 2 arms, he shoves that player down. With the benefit of this video angle where I can see exactly what's happening between them, that's a very clear push that should have been a penalty kick. Where I was coming from on the field, running from the midfield, I would have been looking closer to the back of the white player, and I actually thought that they more just kind of bumped together, and rather than him extending his arms, I kind of thought I just saw more of a kind of catch myself kind of motion. So I ended up no calling that, but here with the benefit of the video, it's pretty clear that it should have been a call and it should have been a penalty kick for white. So that'll be a major deduction for us. So per our rules of the channel, we'll add the Sapper multiplier and deduct 2 points for that. About 5 minutes go by, and we've got a call here for a push on the field. It happens in this shadow over here, so we'll have to watch it pretty closely. White's on the attack, and then black just kind of pushes him down. You see the white player fall. Can't really see the arm extension there because of the shadow, but you see white go down. End up calling that pretty straightforward and give a free kick for white there. So a couple minutes after that last call, we have our third goal of the match, and again, it is a white team, Truckee team goal here. So the ball's down here on their defending half, and this player ends up kicking the ball long. Right there, that player gets a breakaway, comes through, does a really nice job of just kicking the ball right around that keeper, and now they've gone up 3-0. So Truckee seems very much in control of this game, and we're only 10 minutes into it. Couple minutes later, we have our first offside call of this match. So again, white is on the attack here. this white player ends up kicking the ball through. Defender kind of intercepts it, kicks it back, but then this white attacker over here on the left is going to come through and kick that ball through. Right here, you can see this player is clearly in an offside position by at least a couple of yards. Goes to him, and then I believe it was actually Katie on this side of the field. She correctly calls that for an offside call. So we blow the whistle and bring it back for an indirect free kick. Couple of additional minutes go by, and this is going to happen up here in the upper left-hand corner. So I've actually hidden the score. It's a trip that we do call right there. They're just battling for it as white's going away. Black just trips him. That's really, really straightforward there. You can see him fall, and it's just off the screen, but very clear. And we end up calling that and granted. It's direct free kick for white and the correct decision. Moving forward a couple of minutes, we're now a little bit over halfway through the first half. We see here White is just stole the ball from Black here, and he's going to come up the center here, but Black does a good job of poking that ball away, and then White ends up tripping over the player after he gets the ball. So there very clearly that Black gets the ball, and then White initiates the contact. That's a good, he didn't actually slide, but it's kind of the equivalent of a slide tackle while still keeping your feet. That's a good no call, and we play on. That's a great play by him. Here we're going to see our second offside call of the match. The ball's being thrown in from the left of the screen. We're going to see the ball fly in here. This white player is going to kick it back, and then his teammate's going to come up and kick it forward to that player who is clearly offside. If we come back here and we pause it right at the moment of that kick, you can see that player is clearly a step or two offside. So very easy call for Katie to make. I realize there's a couple of defenders that were kind of off screen on this side, but you can see that the white player was definitely further than them, and Katie was perfectly on the line. So that was a good call, and we have an indirect free kick coming back for the black team. Less than a minute later, we've got a ball coming in here from the far end on the right-hand side of your screen. It kind of bounces up or hits the ground here and then bounces up and then just hits this player. He's just outside of the shadow zone here, but you can see it hit his hand. It's kind of out here to the side and then falls down. That's a very, very clear handball. Everybody else saw it. You can even see everybody stopped playing even before I blew the whistle. So call that and give a direct free kick for white, and they don't get a lot easier. 5 or 6 minutes go by before we've got our next decision, and then we've got two in rapid succession. So this ball's starting out, it's just in this shadow. The players are kind of really dark here, so it's a little bit difficult to see them, but they'll step out of the shadow here. Black has control of the ball as he steps out, and then right there he passes, and then he falls down. So if I just back it up there, right there's when he kicks the ball, and then you see him fall. It looks like that white player could have pushed him down, and from the sidelines and this far away, it might look that way. But what I really saw was one of those situations where a player just whips their body around in order to try to get a good kick, and they end up like putting all their energy into that and falling down. We've seen that many times on this channel. We've had some better reviews of it than this. I was there in perfect position. I'm not more than 5 yards away, looking exactly between them, so I didn't see any push. Then the ball comes back here to this player in white who's going to try to make a play here. And as he shoots, you see him fall down there. Back this up here. So as he comes in and he shoots, we see him fall. Black makes a challenge for it, but I don't really see Black initiate anything illegal there. Again, another one of those, he's just trying to throw his momentum into the kick. As he does that, he throws himself off balance. For me, pretty clearly not fouls in those situations, but we bring them up and review them because they look like fouls sometimes from the sidelines. So two good no calls there, and we keep playing. A minute later, we've got a no call on the field here. Black has a breakaway, and this white player behind him is trying to chase him down there. Black gets a nice shot on goal, and white throws himself in there trying to get it. If I back it up here and play it in slow motion, there got a good kick. The ball's going at the goal, and the white team comes in here and doesn't really impact him. He tries to throw his foot out to do a slide tackle. Now he does miss the ball. And as he goes down there in front of him, having really not impacted this black player at that point, Black then trips over the top of him. So even though it was an unsuccessful slide tackle in terms of whether or not the white team got the ball, I did feel like the white team did not introduce any illegal contact there. Plus, I'm giving that attacker that kind of the advantage of taking the shot there. Like if I gave him both the shot and called a penalty kick there, it would kind of feel like double jeopardy for the white team. Plus, there just wasn't enough illegal contact there in my mind. Other referees, if you're watching this, let me know what you think here. I'll play it again in real time, but for me, this was a good no call because I don't really see much there. And I think black initiates the contact after white throws himself in front. So I feel like that's a good no call and at an important point in the game. Almost immediately following the goal kick that occurred after that last no call, we have an interesting call here where the black team gets a goal, so they start making this a game, but it's also really, really close to an offside call. So let's watch here. Black is coming up here to get this, and then there the keeper comes out, and we see that player go in and kick that in. So it looks really, really close to an offside call. So let's play it in slow motion. Right there is the moment that that's kicked. And so then we're looking at this player here, and my AR is doing a good job. She's just off the screen. We can't really see her there, but I can assure you she was right on the line. This is an interesting scenario where he's definitely further than the second to last defender, but let's look at what the law of the game says here for offside positioning. And specifically, Law 11 is one of the shortest laws in the game, but it's one of the most difficult to actually interpret for all of its scenarios. And specifically, what we're looking at here is any part of the head, body, or feet is nearer to the opponent's goal line than both the ball and the second to last defender. And in this case, the material part is both the ball. So the ball counts in factoring this in here. So if we go back to our positioning here, and again, this is the moment of decision, you can really see it here if you know what to look for. The ball is technically further than this player. Now, very, very quickly after he starts to run, he's now closer. But again, the moment of decision is the moment that ball was kicked. And as we saw, he was behind or even with the ball. So, and my AR, she's in perfect position down here to see that. She made a correct call. Kudos to her. But this ends up being an important point because it starts the comeback for the black team here. A short time later, following the kickoff from that goal, we've got white on the attack. They're in the far corner here. We're looking at this player down here. And as he's kind of battling for the ball, he brings it back into the shadow here. And unfortunately, it's a little bit difficult to see, but we see him fall down. And you see me immediately wave it off. So I saw that as all ball. They just went in at the same time, kicked it at the same time. He got the shorter end of it and fell down, but I clearly wave it off as no call. But then just seconds later, you see black here has possession, and this white player runs in and then just charges right through him, gives him almost lowers his shoulder and goes through it. So watch that again. And right there, you see him just throw himself into it. So that's a charge all the time, every day of the week, twice on Sunday. End up calling that and grant a direct free kick for black coming out of their defending third. So with those two quick decisions, this ends up being the final decisions of the first half. As soon as this player puts it back in play, I end up calling the half dead. Now, during halftime of this game, a few interesting things happened. First, the referee crew and we were sitting over there and commenting how while this is a 3-1 game and the score indicates that the white is very much in control of the match, on the field, it felt like the black team had some opportunities. We actually made the comment like this feels like a much closer game than the score indicates, and that ended up being prophetic because black ends up coming back and tying this game 3-3 by the time it's all said and done. So let's get this going. Less than a minute into the second half, we have an interesting, I no called this on the pitch, but ball's kind of bouncing around here, and we'll see black kind of lose it. White gets position on him, comes in, and kind of gets him with his hip, which sends this black player flying. But let's end up watching this here in slow motion. So what I saw was black was the last to kick it, but it's kind of up for grabs. I see white actually get in there, get position on him. So that ball's actually in front of white. And then as he does that, black kind of runs into his hip. There is a little bit of, some hip throw there, but Black throws goes way off of it. But I just felt like one that there was no push. I didn't really feel like that was a charge because I felt like the white player went in there and got it. We ended up making that a no call on the pitch. You see me there do this, and it was all based on how he had gotten his position. And then I felt like it was more of just hip to body action. Let me know in the comments what you think here. Was that a foul for you if you were the referee on the pitch here? I felt it could go either way. I think he'd be okay calling that, but I do think he had position, which is why I no called it. And I think I'd call that a no call again if I had it to do over. So we'll call that a correct call, but let me know if you think I missed it. About 3 minutes later, we've got a call on the far side of the pitch. It's near these shadows, so it's a little bit difficult to see. But White's kind of coming through here, and then as he goes through, Black kind of drags his foot and trips him there and pulls him off of that ball. If I play it here again in slow motion, right there, Black kicks out. Maybe he gets the ball, but I felt like there was an extra after the ball was got that he even kept his foot out and then drug the ankle. So I end up going ahead and giving that to White as a direct free kick for a trip. Just one final commentary on this is how referees, when we come back from the second half, now the colors are going opposite directions. It's not uncommon in the first 5 minutes to kind of get a little bit confused about which direction. So if you watch my hand mechanics here, first I signal one direction, then I'm like, oh, well, which direction is White going again? And so then I start this way and then I come back this way. That all has to do with the first half, second half switch. And I'm just thinking, okay, which direction was White? I think they're this way. Oh, wait, maybe it's, oh, no, it's this way. So happens all the time, happens to the best of us, or at least it happens to me all the time. So about a minute later, we had a very clear trip on the field. Unfortunately, the camera, it's just off on the left side here, but we'll see it right at the end of it. Right here, this Black player comes through and he gets tripped from behind. Play it there. Yeah, right there he goes down. So end up calling that and granting a direct free kick for Black in this situation, and it's the right call. About 3 minutes go by, and now we've got an offside call that is about as easy to call of an offside call as you can possibly have. White just stole the ball from Black here. He's coming up. He's going to kick it right there. So now the ball's flown just a little bit. On the left side of the screen, we can see our two defenders that are here. We can't even see this White player because he's so freaking far that way. He's like 5 yards there, and he doesn't even have the self awareness to know not to go run for it. That doesn't get a whole lot easier than that. So very, very clear, very, very obvious. The game's easy when you can hide behind the defense and if the referees miss it, but we got that one right. We keep going there. Couple minutes go by and we're going to have a pretty clear push here where White pushes this Black player. There's a battle here for the ball, and then Black kind of tries to go through, but he gets a push in the back by his teammate. Now, what really ends up happening here is that this White player here on the left does kick the ball away, so he gets free and fair access to that ball. So that's not the foul. What actually the foul is this White player behind the Black player gives him a push as he's going away. So the player who got the ball, he's perfectly fine. Had it just been that, it wouldn't have been any issue. But it's his teammate who gives the extra shove after the ball's even gone that he gets caught on. So we end up calling that, grant a direct free kick for Black. Few minutes more go by here, and we've got White who's about to steal this ball on a breakaway, and then he gets clipped on the ankle very lightly, but it's just enough to throw him off of it here. So let's watch it right there. He comes through, and then he just gets clipped. If I show this in slow motion, he's running, and then it's just right there on his right foot. This player gets him with just enough to throw his foot over to where it catches on his shin, and he ends up tripping and falling down. So a very clear trip, very light. So, had it been a couple millimeters off, it wouldn't have tripped him, but definitely caused that. So easy call to make, and we keep going. Less than a minute later from that last decision, we have Black on a breakaway here up the side of the field. I think it's number one here, comes along, and then right there, White comes and shoulder bumps him, but he stays up, and then he crosses that ball to a really nice goal. I mean, that is just really nice. But let's bring it back here and let's look and see, do we think one, was there a foul first to where we should have played advantage, or was it just correct to be a no call? I will tell you, I had it as a no call on the field. So here, right here, Black's coming after the ball, White's coming in to challenge for it, and then just as they get there, that looks very shoulder to shoulder to me. I think that's as classic shoulder to shoulder as you can get. I had that as a no call. I think no call is correct, but I'll also tell you, even if I had thought it would have been a foul, given the way that he ends up regaining possession and crossing it over to that player who's just right there, gets that thing while it's in the air for a super nice goal. I would have played advantage anyway. So, very nice play by them, and that ends up making this a 1 goal game. About 3 minutes later, Black actually ends up tying up this game on a really nice goal. So we'll see Black here's on the attack. The keeper is coming out of the box on the right hand side, trying to race him to this ball. And he comes out, and Black gets it away. And before the keeper can get back in the goal, just Black has a really nice shot on a narrow angle into that. Keeper, having put himself out of position, ends up opening up that backdoor shot, and it was just a really good shot by that player for the black team. So that ends up tying this game. They've come back from being down 3-0. We've said at halftime that we thought it felt closer than the score indicated, and this kind of shows that they clawed their way back, and it gets really interesting. As you might imagine, now we're getting into the latter quarter of the game. Now it's tied up. Suddenly the temperature really starts to change in games like this, and we'll see that a little bit as we go on here. About 5 minutes go by in this game before we have our next call, and there's the ball's kind of up for grabs here. There's a couple of white players and this black player that are trying to get it, and then right here, White makes a really nice slide tackle right there, gets his foot out, kicks that ball away just as Black is also getting to it. Black then initiates contact over him, so I just felt like that was a good slide tackle, well executed, and I end up waving that off as a no call. Couple minutes go by, temperature's raising in this match, and of course, everybody wants to score to get that winning goal. So White is on the attacking third here, trying to get in. Black's defending, and right here, I think I have a call that I missed. So there's a big battle for the ball here, and then right there, this black player goes down. And with the benefit of the video, what I see there is that right there, this black player's foot gets tripped by the white player behind him. At the time, I thought it was just a tangle of legs and I couldn't make out what really happened. I thought there might be a foul, but honestly, it had gone with so many legs and so much happening, I just couldn't really make it out and I was content to let it play. But with the benefit of the video here, and of course, slow motion makes things easier, you can clearly see that Black's foot gets tripped up and that's what causes him to go down. So that's going to be a missed call for me. Wish I had kind of caught that in real time. Luckily, it doesn't end up costing him anything because right in here, White ends up kicking it away. Had they end up scoring a goal there, that would have been a very significant point in the match. But as it is, I managed to avoid at least it impacting the score of the game. Couple more minutes go by, and we've got a no call here that would have been a penalty kick had we called it. So it's important. Let's watch it here. Right there, White's on the attack, and Black just does a really nice tackle there. Gets the ball. You see the ball squirt out this way closer to the camera. So clearly, Black got it and changed the direction of that. White ends up then initiating the contact and going over. You can see him start to raise his hand, wanting to know where the foul is, but that's not a foul. It's just a really, really good slide tackle. I want to give kudos to the Truckee coach on this side. He was really, really good. I've refed him in other matches too. He really knows the laws of the game. He didn't say a word about that. He had a couple of comments about a couple of other throw ins that had happened earlier in the match that he thought I should have called, but frankly, I felt they fell in the category of misdemeanors versus felony throw ins, and throw ins aren't really that important anyway. So, anyway, kudos to him. He didn't even say a peep there. He knew it was the right call. But yeah, those are close. It's easy to get those wrong, and they'd be game changers if you called that one wrong. So, glad to have gotten that one right, and that the video supports what we said on the field. Less than 30 seconds after that last no call, we have another quick series of things that happen right in the box. One of which, if we called the first one, would have been a penalty kick, but I no call that one. And then immediately following that, there's a foul actually going the other way. Let's watch it here. This ball is kind of up for grabs. It's been bouncing around right there. White gets kind of bumped and then he trips Black. And so let's go back and let's watch that whole sequence in slow motion. So right here, White does come through. He's about to get the ball. And then there is a bump there by Black that does interact with White. And then immediately following that, Black's trying to turn. White gets up and kind of goes through his leg. I did not call the first of those. I made that a no call. I did call the second of those. So I ended up giving a free kick to the defense, to Black, coming out of the box. Now, one thing that I've learned watching video is that when you can play things in slow motion, they look a lot more intentional than they really were on the field. And looking at this here in slow motion, it looks like I probably could call that as a penalty kick. But in all honesty, like if I just play this in real time, like that looks an awful lot 50-50. Like, and so as the referee, in a tied ball game, 3-3. Temperatures have gone way up in this match. We're right at the end of it. A penalty kick here basically decides the game, right? So for me to call that as a penalty kick, I have to be 100% sure. 100%. Whereas the spectators on the sideline, they can see that and think, they can be 10% sure and still be screaming at you, right? And the spectators on this side are going to think it's a foul because they want their team to get the kick. Spectators on the other side are going to think it's not a foul because they don't want to have a penalty kick against them. And just watching this here again in real speed, like it could go either way, but man, there's not enough there to be 100% sure. And then this trip, like that's very, very clear. So that's what I called. That's why it is the way that it is. I'm going to score that as two correct decisions, but let us know in the comments what you think about this one. I'll play this again here right there. Is that a penalty kick foul or not? Or is that more shoulder to shoulder? And again, remember you got split seconds to make this call and you're basically responsible for deciding the game at that moment. It's not that easy. As you might expect, we get some noise from the sideline here. Let's listen to it. So I end up having a discussion with the coach there and just explain to him, hey, look, coach, I saw it 50-50. There wasn't enough there. And of course, he's trying to say, yeah, that was clear a foul. My coach, I didn't see it as a clear foul. I can't call it on that. And like I said, this coach was very, very good, clear knowledge of the laws of the game. It's just an emotional moment. I can see where he would see it that way. There's just not enough there for me as the referee to be 100% sure. And even with the video evidence, I don't feel there's 100% there. I think it could go either way, but there's not enough there for me to take a deduction on this one. Let us know in the comments what you think, but we're going to score that as a correct decision for the no call and then a correct decision for the trip immediately following. A minute later, we have another important no call that would have been a penalty kick again had we called it. White is on the attack here. We're looking at this player here. He's coming in with the ball. And then as he gets here, this Black player comes in, actually pokes the ball away right there. Black pokes the ball. So he does a good slide tackle. Plus, from my angle and from this camera angle, it looks like he's actually in front of the White player. So he got position on him. And yes, his hip ends up hitting that White player and he goes down. At that point, he had already established position. He had poked the ball away. So again, let's watch this just real quick here. Again, I think Black just ends up getting possession of that. It's a nice slide tackle like steal of the ball. He gets position. Then his hip runs into White there. White goes down. Of course, again, it's a tied ball game, high emotions, final minutes. Everybody wants a call here. So we get some noise from the sideline. And remember, now they've had like 2 or 3 calls immediately in the preceding minutes where they all think they should have gotten penalty kicks. So now we start to get more chirping from the sideline. Again, this coach was really good, but I think we get some noise from the spectators. Let's listen here. And so you hear him say he's coming from behind. I remember being on the field and hearing them say that and thinking, he didn't come from behind at all. He got in front of him and got in position. Like that's not from behind at all. But it's hard for them to see from this far away. I've got a much better angle on it. I'm maybe 15 yards from that with a good angle to see what happened, whereas they're much closer to say 50 yards away. And it's emotional, and they want to see what they want to see. So anyway, I think that's a good no call. Let us know if you think we got it wrong, but we'll keep playing there. In our final call of this match, it happens in the 61st minute. I'd added a couple of extra minutes, which is why we're in extra time, given the nature of the game. It was State Cup. It was tied ball game. It had been really exciting. We had had some stoppages. I granted 2 extra minutes. So in this extra time, final call, ball's coming in from the right-hand side here, and it just kind of bounces up, and right there it ends up hitting that black player right on his hand as it goes up there. Both my AR signals right away for it. Would like to see her with her mechanics right there. She has her flag above her head, and then she switches it to the other hand. Would prefer to see that hand come down and around and then up. But at the end of the day, she did a good job of at least calling the foul right in front of her and helping me out from a little bit further away. We end up calling that handball and granting a direct free kick for White, which didn't end up materializing into anything. That ended up being the final call of the match. Off the free kick following that handball, there ended up being a goal kick. And as soon as they put this in play, I end up actually dodging the ball and then blowing the game dead. Just like that, the game's over. So let's see how we did. So 29 decisions and 3 deductions, that gives us a Sapper score of 89.7%. So this was a really good game. And there was really only 2 decisions that we felt like we got wrong, though I suppose you could argue some of the others are controversial. One of those was unfortunately a major decision. It was early in the second half when Truckee was winning by 2-0 and probably should have given a penalty kick, which would have given them a really good shot at another goal. Who knows how games would have played out had we called that one? It's unfortunate. Does happen though. Ultimately, in this game, overall, felt really, really good about it. Watching the video, other than that one major missed call, felt like the rest are really supported by the video. A couple of things could have gone either way. Let us know what you think in the comments. These games get interesting even at these young age groups like this, and this was certainly one of those exciting games where you got 2 teams fighting hard for the victory. They were great sports too, so it was a lot of fun to be a part of. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Tune back next Friday for our next upload, and I'll see you out on the pitch.